Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining me today on radio station 4250. Now, with the Rise of Skywalker being out now for about a month, people have had plenty of time to not only watch the movie and see the saga finally come to a close, but they've also had plenty of time to put it to the fire and criticize the heck out of it. Now, I know this most recent trilogy of movies hasn't gotten a lot of love, and really, it's gotten some pretty serious hate, to be honest, over these last few years. While I have my disagreements over this new trilogy and over little bits of all the Star Wars movies, I feel like the hate has gotten a little bit out of hand. YouTubers and the media are literally turning into rabid dogs and frothing at the mouth when reviewing anything as a Star Wars lately. And it feels like, honestly, it's really just a big ol' hate bandwagon that people want to jump on so they have their limelight moment of telling people why they too hate the Star Wars movies and why that makes them so cool. Now, I'd like to clarify before I go any further that there are plenty of disagreements I have with how the story and the characters were handled in this most recent trilogy. But today, I don't want to talk about why I dislike Star Wars, or why these new movies are the literal devil, or why they're the worst movies in all of history. No. Today, I want to give Star Wars some love. Because I feel like plenty of people online are already giving it a gratuitous amount of hate. And you know what? I think Star Wars needs a video of its own, giving it some love. So without further ado, this is my Star Wars appreciation post. The first thing I love about Star Wars is how it's remained relevant for over 40 years in our culture. And I think that that's all in part to the brilliance of how George Lucas made the Star Wars universe. It's kind of funny though, because George Lucas made this whole galaxy with so many creatures and planets and ships and societies, but he never really fleshed any of it out. And just by watching the movies alone, you'd have so many questions left unanswered and so much history and backstory unexplained that you'd really miss out on just how big the universe he created was. Now, the reason I say that this is brilliant is because it left an opening for so many talented creators to come in and flesh out an awesome expanded universe. From the Knights of the Old Republic games to the Clone Wars animated show, to all the books and comics explaining the stories of familiar and lesser familiar characters in between the movies. There's just so much content to explore and so much lore that has been expanded upon. It's no wonder why there are podcasts and YouTube channels dedicated to Star Wars alone. You could spend days exploring all the content that Star Wars has to offer and much, much longer trying to watch and read all of it. I think that that's something that makes it really special. Another thing I love about Star Wars is that you're always seeing new ships and blasters and creatures and planets all throughout the movies and TV shows. Although some of my favorite ships still to this day are the AT-ATs and the Snowspeeders. I mean, honestly, those are really cool, and I love seeing those in The Empire Strikes Back. However, my favorite world is Felucia. I absolutely love Felucia. My first time really getting to see it was in the Star Wars Force Unleashed game, and I loved how fleshy and neon and plant-based the world was. It was so cool and kind of gross as well, but getting to explore it and seeing the Sarlacc pits and Rancors, it was just such a cool and immersive experience. The first time I really appreciated world building in the Star Wars universe. And it also got me thinking though, being inside the Sarlacc pits, depending on how much anime Boba Fett had watched, I think when he was swallowed by the Sarlacc pit, he either had a really bad time or a really good time. Another thing I love about Star Wars is how much merchandise and awesome cosplays there are that people have done. No Star Wars fandom would be complete if you didn't have losers like me wearing Star Wars t-shirts every other day, or having people dressing up in one-for-one replica cosplays. It's so cool seeing people take their creativity to that next level for Comic-Cons and little parades and dressing up as their favorite characters from the Star Wars universe, walking around like a bunch of badasses. People spend so much time and put so much detail into these outfits. It's just so incredible. It's like an art form to watch. It's just so much passion you see from these Star Wars fans. It's really, really just something else. It's fantastic. Now, I know that this has been a pretty basic general look over all of Star Wars. The reason I wanted to do this, though, is because I know that a lot of people have disliked the directions the movies have taken for quite some time now. It's understandable to see where people's frustrations lie, but I love Star Wars. For all the stories and canon and legends it's been able to tell, and Star Wars has been a very relevant part of my entire life. I used to play the Star Wars Lego games on the PS2 growing up with my friends, and I watched the movies in the theaters, and I enjoyed watching the Clone Wars animated series and seeing some in-depth storytelling from that period of time. I've also read a couple of Star Wars books and comics. I mean, I love the Darth Revan series. I also have had some pretty amazing times and lots of great memories fighting my brothers with those little fake plastic lightsabers and remembering how much it just kill your fingers when they hit you really hard with it and they bleed a little. It made me cry every time. It was so painful. And seeing as how it's just been a really big part of my life and my childhood, I hate seeing so much disdain being brought to the franchise over a couple of movies that maybe, in all honesty, were not all that great in the eyes of a lot of people. At least most of it, maybe. So I really felt it necessary that with all these people giving it crap, with all these people giving it hate, I wanted to shed some light and tell people what I love about Star Wars. Because it's an amazing franchise. It has an amazing extended universe, and it's got some great content to enjoy from it. And it's been such a big influence in so much pop culture. It's just never gone away. People have never forgotten about it since it came out in 1977. And I think that's noteworthy. And no matter what disagreements you might have with it, things you may dislike about it, you gotta admit, there's so much awesome stuff to enjoy about Star Wars. And that's why I'm here today. So yeah, that's my appreciation post for Star Wars. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that recent movies that have come out haven't brought you down or haven't made you dislike Star Wars. I mean, it is what it is. Stories are out now, the movies have been made, and what can you do, right? But I just take it as it is and find the things that I really enjoy about it still. Because there's still moments in the movies I enjoy. Even if maybe the overarching story wasn't that great. But you know what? I'll leave the hate to all the other YouTubers in the media. You're listening to Radio Station 4250. Please have a wonderful day. And may the Force be with you.